Today we're talking about 3 tips for you to use when purchasing a property that might be in flood zone AE. So if you're getting ready to purchase this house as a potential homeowner or you're a real estate investor, you want to make sure to watch this video so that you don't lose thousands of dollars without using these strategies. Let's get started. So let's talk about these 3 strategies. Say you're getting ready to go buy a house and you found out it's a flood zone AE. What should you do here? It's people we talk to every day. In fact, it happened to myself more than 12 years ago. So I've been helping people just like yourself with this topic for more than 12 years. So what exactly can you do? Well, the first thing is verify the flood zone. More than 40% of the time, we find that properties are actually listed in the wrong flood zone. What exactly does that mean, listed in the wrong flood zone? Well, in many situations, the federal government will use the entire parcel. And being here on the lake is a great example historically. You see that water behind me, you may have a boathouse down there, and you might have this house right here. And the old parcels might think that these buildings were at the same level on the flood maps in many situations. And I'll give you an example. We had a property owner in Russellville, Alabama, that had a house on the Tennessee River. This property or structure, like this house right here, was actually 80 feet above the water, but he was listed in high-risk flood zone. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? But no one had told him that he could contest a flood zone. No one told him he might be in the wrong flood zone for more than 20 years. So his flood insurance premiums were not showing accurately. Because of this, when this flood zone changed, guess what happened? His premiums significantly went down. His property value went up. And one reason that it went up is because flood insurance was no longer required on this purchase when he went to sell this house. So those are just some things right there that can help when you're checking this flood zone. The next thing you want to check is check flood loss history. But how exactly do you do that? Well, one reason is asking the property owner for a list of flood losses if they've gotten from whenever they've owned it or lived in the property. This covers you in 2 ways. This way, if you've got a real estate investor who's selling the property, they have to disclose on if they've had flood losses, whether they've lived in it or not. We discover that in many situations, a property owner does not ask the right question, and so information does not have to be disclosed. And so when they go to get closed on this house and a flood does happen, they discovered 6 floods before that happened because they didn't know to ask the right questions. The next strategy or tip to use here is get a copy of the current flood insurance policy on the property if there is one. For one reason is potentially you could take this policy over, saving thousands of dollars on a rate. The next thing is you can kind of have an idea by looking at this policy if you meet with an insurance agent to know what's going to happen to this rate over the long term. Because that's what you want to know. Not just, hey, what's my rate potentially going to be today? What's going to happen to my rate over the next year, the next 36 months? Just today, we were talking to a property owner who's building a house like this right here on the water, wants to know, hey, what are the premiums going to be like today? What are they going to be like in 12 months, 24 months? Can you get these numbers exactly? No. But you can use something like your flood risk score that we have in the comments here, where you can find the flood risk score out on our website. That's the actual chances of property flooding from 0 to 100 based on the risk model. This gives you a good idea what's going to happen to your premiums over the long term. The higher the flood risk score is here, potentially the higher the flood premium, potentially the higher risk of flooding over a 30-year period. So it's important to understand that. Then you can use this to help to understand, hey, what's going to happen to my rates over 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, potentially what's going to happen to property value, potentially what's going to happen to my profitability as a real estate investor. So these are 3 tips you can use when looking at purchasing a property that might be at flood zone AE. Remember, make sure to subscribe, like, share the channel here so other people can find the valuable content. You can also, in the description of this video, download our guide on Flood Zone AE. We look forward to helping you in the next video over here at the Flood Insurance Guru. Thank you.